So today we're going to make a tier list for each role individually in Valorant. Basically, you have a lot of people that don't know what to play, and of course most likely you want to play a duelist, and I'm going to tell you in this video that you should not play only duelist, and I'm going to show you which agent is very good for each individual and respective tier. And also, only 1% of you are subscribed, so I'm gonna do like Miskiff, and if you want Nori to eat this month, I suggest you do so. Agents, initiators, tier list consists into Sova, Breach, Sky, KO and Fade. And of course, because of the new update, Fade is not that good anymore, or so to speak, but it's still pretty decent, she's still strong as fuck. So of course we're starting with Fade, and because she is like the best initiator at the moment, of course she goes into the S tier, just because I want to. Moving next, we have KO, which is kind of decent, of course, if you know how to use her flashes, how to play off your team, and how you can throw flashes for your duelists, not only for yourself. And of course my dog just climbed into my lap. You fucking little rat. Look at him. Look at this little shit. Look at this. Look at this. Now, let's see. We were at KO. Of course, if you know how to play KO, you know how you can use your flashes to help your teammate. I will only put him into the B tier because you really need to master him. You need to play a lot of hours with him. And if you solo queue, he's not that good of a champion. So, B tier. Moving next to Sky. Another great initiator. He has a lot of flashes. He has other utilities like the dog. Also, her ult is pretty overpowered. But it's the same story as KO. You can do a lot of things like you can with Fade. Fade is more OP. In this case, her spells are better. To put her in front of KO. Yeah. Now we have Breach, the Swedish guy. Actually, now I'm just seeing that Breach is from Sweden. Jävla fitta. So we have Breach. Breach is a very popular pick, I would say. I think he's like the second most pick champion in this game. He's like 52% of pick rate, something like that. He is very OP. I played him in duos and trios and also solo queue before, because he has a lot of utility. He has the damage thing that you use it to push damage to the walls. He has a lot of flashes. He has also the dazed and stun thing, which is kind of OP. Also, his ult is broken. You can take a side just with his ult. Like so, because of this, he would go into the A tier. Sova, again, it's a very good champion if you know how to play it, but let's say that you're stuck in elo hell and you're maybe between silver and platinum and you can really get out of there. I would not suggest to play Sova because of that. He's a really hard champ, so you really need to master him. And for that reason, I'm going to put him into the B tier, because if you don't master this champion, if you don't have a lot of hours on this champion, you're not that useful to the team. And now let's move to the next one, which is the controller, which consists into Brimstone, Viper, Omen, Astra, Harbor. So Brimstone is pretty easy to use. You don't have a lot of complicated utils. You have the smokes, you have 3 smokes, you have the Molotov, which might be hard if you don't know any lineups, but if you know like the default lineups for each map, you're good to go. So because of that, I would put him into B tier, because he's not that wow of a champion. His spells are kind of good. The Steam pack is kind of it's not that good. So it's a B tier for me. Moving on, we have Viper, which is S tier. I don't even think I need to say much about Viper. He has the best ult in the game. She has the wall. If you don't really need a lot of IQ to manage to pull off a decent wall for a plant. So yeah, she's strong as fuck. Now we have Omen. Again, Omen, if you don't know how to play him that well, he's kind of useless. If you don't know how to teleport right, how you can get on the side and how you can get on top of things and maybe get like an off angle, he is pretty useless. So I'm going to put him into C tier just because I don't like playing against him. Astra again, she's a strong pick, but it's kind of complicated if you don't really know how to play with your team. Of course, if you know how to play with your team, she's pretty strong, but because this tier list is mostly made for people that are stuck in elo hell, I would say that she is a C tier, and I think she's behind Omen, because not a lot of people actually know how to use the ult, how to use the sucking thing. So yeah, it's a complicated hero, so I'm going to put her in C tier. And now we have the latest hero that was introduced into the game. I'm talking about Harbor. He recently got a buff, but I don't think he is strong enough to be in the S tier. I don't think he's strong enough to be in the A tier. I don't think he's strong enough to be in the B tier. I think he's pretty good though. Now he has 2 waves. I think he also changed other things on his spells. But for this tier list, I think he is in the C tier. I don't know if it's too early to tell if he's actually good or if he's a trash hero. He has like 1% pick rate, so I think he has the worst pick rate in the game at the moment, behind this chick, which is completely useless. Anyway, this is the tier list for controllers, and moving on to Duelists, which is everybody's favorite tier list because everybody thinks that they can play a Duelist. And we're starting with Phoenix, which is like the worst Duelist in the game. Is like a D tier. You don't have a lot of utility. Of course, you can play solo queue with him and you can still be very good because the enemies don't know how to dodge a flash or how they can expect you to flash. But most likely, if you're playing against other people that actually know where Phoenix can play around and the angles that he can have, he is pretty useless. Moving on, Jett, S tier, because she's still the strongest duelist in the game. I don't need to say much about her. She has a lot of mobility. She's broken basically. Even with all the nerfs and all the things, she's still the best duelist in the game. Reyna is not as good as Jett, but is second to Jett, I would say. Okay, so Reyna is decent. It's pretty easy to use. You don't really need to. You don't have a lot of mechanics to master. You just basically get into the side, flash maybe 1 or 2 times, and that's all. And you get a lot of kills. The ultimate is pretty broken. You get a lot of heal. You move like a crazy maniac. You shoot like a crazy maniac, so it's pretty cool. Raze, I think it's second in S tier to Jett. She's the second most strongest duelist at the moment, I would say. Yeah, she has a lot of mobility. She has the boom bot, the nade, the ultimate is kind of broken. If you know how to use the satchels, again, you're gonna get on the site in like 2 satchels and you're gonna surprise a lot of people. So yeah, she has not as good as mobility as Jett, but she's still pretty strong. We have now Yoru, which is kinda useless, I would say. It's not as useless as Phoenix, but it's still kind of useless. I mean, you can play Yoru if you're like a content creator and you want people to see stupid plays that you made on some noobs. But yeah, he is a C tier. I don't think that I need to say much about him. He's trash. And the last duel is Neon. She is pretty played at the moment by pros. She has a lot of utilities. She can help the team. She has good mobility. I think she has the best mobility in the game. She's very fast. You can get on side stupidly easily. You can dodge a lot of chamber traps, which at the moment you're gonna see him in every match, so you can pop a lot of traps and get away with it. So because of that, she is better in my opinion than Reyna, and her ult is stupidly strong. I mean, that needs to be nerfed ASAP. So that's all for Duelists, and I think we have Sentinels left, which is kind of short list. There are only like 4 Sentinels. And that's Killjoy, Cypher, Sage and Chamber. Of course, we're gonna start with the most popular pick in the entire game, and we're talking about Chamber, which I think at the moment is the most broken champion, even after like 2 or 3 nerfs in the game. I don't think I need to say much about him. He has the head hunter thingy, the deagle or whatever it's called. Stupidly strong. You can play a lot of off angles and get away with basically a free kill. His ultimate is strong, so yeah, it's Chamber basically. Now we have Cypher, which you lately got a huge buff. I think right now he is very popular, so he's very strong, and basically you can lock down an entire site just with him alone, especially if you're talking about maps like Bind or even Haven. So A tier for me at the moment for Cypher. And now moving on to Sage. Sage is a very average pick, a very solid pick. You don't need to say much about her. She's in the game since the beginning, so I'm gonna put her in B tier. She is not that strong, she's not bad, she is there just basically to help the team out, of course. And now we're talking about Killjoy, which is like the worst champion in the entire game, the agent in the entire game. She is D tier because she is completely useless at the moment, and I don't need to say much about her. She only has the bots, the alarm bot, the damage that you get with the nade, but I would say that's not really enough to compete with these guys. I mean, these guys are, especially Chamber, he's in a tier list of his own. So that's basically all for the tier list. Yeah, as you can see, I don't think I made any major picks contrary to the popular belief. So that's all for today's video. I am Kimi, and as always, I will see you next time. Cheers.